Hello beautiful people and welcome back to my channel. It has been a while since I've sat on this couch and filmed. I think it's been a month. Yeah, it's been about a month since I've sat here and filmed. Last time you guys saw me, I was pregnant with my third child. She is 2.5 weeks old now. She's actually taking a nap and my boys are taking a nap. So I was like, let me try to film my March reads video, but I'm sure she'll be waking up at any moment. So if I'm talking fast, it's because mommy duty calls, okay? So for my March reads, I actually read 5 books, which I was proud of myself for because I did not think that I was going to be able to read that much during the month of March because I knew I was gonna have a newborn. But honestly, what saved me was Audible. 3 of my books for the month of March are Audible books. And because, you know, when you're having those middle of the night feedings, what else is there to do? Because, you know, you can only scroll social media so much. So I've been listening to audiobooks at night. So that's how I got through 3 of my books for the month of March. I'm trying to pull them up currently. There we go. So for the month of March, I read 5 books, 1,977 pages. One of my books was over 500 pages, which is crazy. I think that's the one I read on my Kindle, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, most of them were nonfiction, 80% nonfiction, 20%, or sorry, 80% fiction, 20% nonfiction. And yeah, my average rating was 3.94 stars. So let's talk about this book first because it's my only physical book for this month. It is my book of the month read. It's called The Soulmate. I gave it 3.5 stars. It's a thriller. It's been a theme with my book of the month reads. Honestly, they've all been thrillers for like the last 6 months, I think. This month, for the month of April, I haven't gotten it yet because it's not going to be able to ship until April 7th because I guess it was super popular, so they ran out, so they had to order more. But that is a contemporary fiction, I think the genre for it is. But other than that, my book of the month reads have mostly been thrillers. So this one is about, it says, picture a lovely cottage on a cliff with slopey lawns, walking paths, and beautiful flowers. It's Gabe and Pippa Wright's dream home in a sleepy coastal town, but their perfect house hides something sinister. The tall cliffs have become a popular spot for people to end their lives. Over the past several months, Gabe comes to the rescue, literally talking them off the ledge, until one day he doesn't. When Pippa discovers Gabe knew the victim, the questions spiral. Did the victim jump? Was she pushed? And would Gabe, the love of Pippa's life, her soulmate, lie? As the perfect facade of their marriage begins to crack, the deepest and darkest secrets begin to unravel. Because sometimes the most convincing lies are the ones we tell ourselves. This book was actually really good. I read it pretty quickly. The thing I liked the most about this, because I only gave it 3.5 stars, which I feel like is a mediocre rating, but I really liked this because I dislike books that take like forever to get to, like, you know, the big main event. This one, it was like chapter 2 or 3 where like the main event happened and then like the continuation of the story after that occurred, which I really liked because I was like, oh, I love that, because especially my book of the month reads, they've been like slower starts. I hate slow start books, they drive me insane. So this one was actually pretty good, and I did like it. Like I said, I gave it 3.5 stars. It was a thriller, dark, mysterious, all of that. I would say it's more like a medium paced book because it wasn't like too fast paced. It's like a medium pace. But yeah, I did end up liking this one a lot. So the next book was on my Kindle, and it was Things We Hide from the Light, which is the sequel to Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. It was released at the end of February, I believe. So I read it on my Kindle last month. It was 580 pages and I gave it 4.25 stars. So it was a pretty long read. I think the first book was also like around 500 pages. But this one, the first one I felt like was a little too dragged out because there were some like lulls in the story, I guess you could say, but this one was a little more like fast paced. So there was always something happening. And the first Knock 'Em Out book, if you guys didn't read it, it's about Knox and Daisy and their love story. And basically it's the town of Knock 'Em Out. And it's two brothers, Nash and Knox, and then their friend Lucy. And the third book that's going to be coming out is about Lucy's love story, so I'm very excited for that. But the first book was about Knox and Daisy's love story. The second book was about Nash and Lena's story, and Lena is actually like an Knox's friend from college, so they've known each other for a while. But yeah, so it's about how that story unfolds, and I think I liked this one because Lena is kind of like a smartass, one, and two, she's like a take no crap from anyone kind of girl. So she reminds me of myself. So she's very sassy in that way. So I feel like I related to her a little bit more than I related to Daisy, because Daisy was like a happy-go-lucky, all the time kind of person. But it says Nash Morgan was always known as the good Morgan brother, with a smile and a wink for everyone. But now this chief of police is recovering from being shot, and his southern charm has been overshadowed by panic attacks and nightmares. He feels like a broody shell of the man he once was. Nash isn't about to let anyone in his life know he's struggling, but his new next door neighbor, smart and sexy Lena, sees his shadows. As a rule, she's not a fan of physical contact unless she initiates it, but for some reason, Nash's touch is different. He feels it too. The physical connection between them is fiery, grounding him and making her wonder if it is worth the risk. Too bad Lena's got secrets of her own, and if Nash finds out the real reason she's in town, he'll never forgive her. Besides, she doesn't do relationships, ever. A hot, short-term fling with a local cop? Absolutely. Sign her up. A relationship with a man who expects her to plant roots? No freaking way. Once she gets what she's after, she has no intention of sticking around. But Knock 'Em Out has a way of getting under people's skin. And once Nash decides to make Lena his, he's not about to be dissuaded, even if that means facing the danger that nearly killed him. So this book, there were some funny moments with it. But yeah, so there was a lot of emotions that happened in this book, even though those two aren't emotional people, which is kind of funny if you think about it. But yeah, so I really liked their love story. I guess you could say that unfolded in this book. And then there were also a few like action scenes as well. Because as you heard from the description, Nash is a cop, so there are a few action scenes as well that I really liked. I feel like it was both character and plot driven, and it had some pretty lovable characters. There was some strong character development, and I really liked it. So like I said, I gave it 4.25 stars. So I think that might have been my highest rating for the month of March. Moving on to the next one was Audible read, like I said. The last three are going to be Audible reads. And it is Little Women, which is my read for my book of the month. Or not book of the month. My read for my book club with my friend Valerie. And we listened to Little Women. And I really liked listening to this version on Audible. Because you know when you listen to audiobooks, like it's just the narration of the story. But this one had so many other elements to it. So it like when they were in the carriage with the horses, like you heard the horses, like their hooves walking and stuff. There was a bunch of different characters. I think there was like 6 or 7 voice actors in it, so everyone had a different voice. It was very nice. It was pretty cool. It was almost like listening to a movie in your head, because there were so many other theatrical elements to it, which I really loved. Like there was a dance scene, and like you heard like the music in the background as they danced. So it was pretty cool. I really liked it. I gave it a 4-star review. 4. This is 5. I gave it a 4-star review. It is a little on the longer side. It's 456 pages if you're reading the physical copy of it. But like I said, I really liked it, and it's basically about the lives of 4 sisters, the March sisters, Jo, Meg, Beth, and Amy, and it's based in the 19th century New England while their father is off fighting the Civil War. I would say that this book was more character than plot driven. There's a lot of strong character development and some lovable characters, I feel like, in there. And it really does focus on like the flaws of the characters and how they develop throughout the story, which I really liked. But yeah, if you're gonna read Little Women and you want to listen to the audiobook, I definitely recommend the one that's on Audible, because it was pretty nice. The next one is I'm super late to this party, but the next one was Daisy Jones and the Six, and this one came out a few years ago, I believe, in 2019, I think, and it took off. There's like a TV series now on Amazon Prime, I believe, but Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I don't know how true this is, but there are people who say that this story is loosely based on events that happened to Stevie Nicks while she was in Fleetwood Mac back in the 70s. Like I said, I haven't done any research on it, so I don't know how official or how true that statement is. And I did like this book. I think the audiobook is what made it for me, honestly, because the voice actors again in this book were very, very good. It was narrated by a handful of people again, and this is kind of like an interview style read, especially if you're listening to the audiobook. Very interview-ish style, where like you have the different characters cutting in with their different voices, like responding to the same thing that kind of happened. So it was pretty cool the way that Taylor wrote this book. I kind of like the style of it, but it was a very heavy book. There's a lot of drug and alcohol use and that kind of thing. So it's not lighthearted by any means. It's a pretty emotional book, but it's also pretty reflective as well, I would say. I gave it a 4-star review. So it says Daisy is a girl coming of age in LA in the late 60s, sneaking into clubs on the Sunset Strip, sleeping with rock stars, and dreaming of singing at the Whiskey A Go-Go. The sex and drugs are thrilling, but the rock and roll she loves most. By the time she's 20, her voice is getting noticed, and she has the kind of heedless beauty that makes people do crazy things. Also getting noticed is the Six, a band led by the brooding Billy Dunn. On the eve of their first tour, his girlfriend Camila finds out she's pregnant, and with the pressure of impending fatherhood and fame, Billy goes a little wild on the road. Daisy and Billy cross paths when a producer realizes that the key to a supercharged success is to put the two together. What happens next will become the stuff of legend. The making of that legend is chronicled in this riveting, unforgettable novel written as an oral history of one of the biggest bands of the 70s. So like I said, it's very emotional, reflective. There are some sad points in there. It's pretty medium paced, and it is character driven, and there is a lot of character development from the start to finish, especially in Daisy and Billy, I feel like. And the flaws of the character are really a main focus of this book. Like I said, I don't know if I would have liked actually reading this story because there were a lot of like lulls in it, but the audio version of it I really liked. So that was my other book for this month, or for last month, the month of March. And then the last story I read, I didn't give a rating to because it's an autobiography. And I don't feel like it's fair to rate autobiographies, because how are you going to give someone a rating based on like their own story? I feel like. But the last one is called Becoming Free Indeed, My Story of Disentangling Faith from Fear by Ginger Duggar Volo. So if you guys grew up in the early 2000s, you guys know 19 Kids and Counting, and that was on TLC. I actually used to watch that show. It's a pretty short book. It's on the shorter side. It's only 221 pages. Again, I listened to it on audio. It just came out last month, I believe. And for those of you that don't know, the Duggar family followed the teachings of what is his name? Bill Gothard, which is a very women are less than men. Women have to be like super modest and only wear skirts, and like if you listened to music with drums in it, the devil was gonna get you. Like he was a very fear-mongering, false teacher, you could say. And it's basically Ginger's story of how she grew up and realized that what she was taught growing up isn't necessarily the truth, and how she discovered the truth. And renewed her own faith with her own personal convictions and stuff like that. And she learns that what convicts you may not convict another person, and there's nothing wrong with that. So it was basically her story of like trying to figure out what she was gonna believe going forward, and how she separated her current faith and belief from the faith that she had growing up as a child. And that's basically her story. Like I said, I don't really think it's fair to rate people's autobiographies because it's their own story. You can't knock them for that. But it was a good listen. It was a quick listen too. I think the audiobook was only like 5 hours or something like that. So it was a pretty quick read as well. And that's it, guys. Those are all the books that I read / listened to in March. I still say read, even if I'm talking about audiobooks. Is that considered cheating? I don't know. But those are all the books I read for the month of March. For this month, I've already started The Magnolia Palace by Fiona Davis for my book club. And then I ordered my book of the month that I'm waiting to come in, which I'm hoping gets shipped before the 7th because I really want to read that one. But we'll see what other books I get into this month. It's a little hectic over here, juggling a newborn and 2 other children and all of that jazz. So I will post content as I can. I feel like videos might be uploaded on the slower side for the next foreseeable future until I get into the swing of things. But please like, share, and subscribe if you guys haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.